Welcome back, everyone, to the Lemming Report. It is time for Tom's Top 10 Defensive Linemen. And let's start it off with number 10, a friend of the program now, by the way, Nephi Lalo. He made his announcement for Stanford with us just a few weeks ago. 6'6", 285-pound defensive end. Defensive end. Tom, he might outgrow the position, huh?
You know, Adam, I think he already has outgrown it. Look how big he is. He's over 300 pounds right now. He's got tremendous feet. You know, he keeps his pads low. He really bulls into offensive linemen. I just think he's going to wind up as a defensive tackle for the Cardinal and a very good one, too. He just got all the ingredients to be a great player.
All right, at number 9, we find Malik McDougal, another guy listed at 6'6", 285 pounds, 15 sacks as a junior, but you've said he might not stay at the defensive end, huh?
He's just so big, but he's another guy that can get off the line like no one's business, and a very explosive first step. I think he'd be a great offensive tackle also, but he prefers the defensive side of the ball, and I think he may wind up with the Michigan Wolverines, and they've promised him defensive end. All
right now it's Michigan and Michigan State on his list. Next now, at number 8, we have Jaylen Holmes, an impact player at tight end and outside linebacker, as well as defensive end, of course, committed to Ohio State. You think Urban Meyer's going to keep him at defensive end, though?
Yeah, I think he will. He's got the body. He's got very long arms, quick hands, really quick feet. He looks thin at 235 pounds. He's going to wind up playing 270, and you can see the way he can close in on a quarterback. With another 35 pounds of muscle, we could be talking about a college All-American.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of muscle. All right, number 7, we have Solomon Thomas, one of the top 3 players in the state of Texas, but he's mostly looking out of state right now. Bama, Notre Dame, Ohio State among his schools. Where do you see him ending up?
You know what? I never bet against Alabama, at least at this stage of the game. He did visit Notre Dame. He's going to be visiting Ohio State. Bench is 355 pounds. He's another defensive end who I think could wind up playing inside because of his strength, his ability to push the pile, quick feet, and he plays the game on his feet, and he's got very good closing speed. This is a tremendous ball player with great grades, so you can never rule out Notre Dame when their students are close to AB type students. All
right, we see Notre Dame, Stanford on his list. Number 6 now, we have DeAndre Clark. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes, committed to LSU, where they have produced plenty of D linemen, 4 in the last NFL draft alone. Tell us about this guy.
You know, talking to his coach, Willis Alexander, he diagnoses plays quickly. He can get downfield in a hurry. Matter of fact, this guy also, you can see here, he can catch the ball too, the tight end, but he's a defensive end. I think he's close to breaking the state record. He's already had over 40 sacks in his high school career, and he's double, triple team, doesn't seem to bother him. He's having another great year as a senior. Yeah, 22 sacks last year, a school record for a season. So now we go into our top 5, and at number 5, Gerald Willis. He could easily wind up at LSU himself, although his brother Landon Collins wound up at Alabama. Also has A&M on his list. You think Les Miles gets him too? Well, I'm not sure. With his brother at Alabama and starting for the Crimson Tide, that's an all good catch for them. And Nick Saban's just a tremendous recruiter. You know what I really like about Gerald? This guy is as consistent as they come. He was all area as a freshman, as a sophomore, and as a junior. Obviously, he's going to be all state this year. He had 13 sacks last year, already has 7 this season. He is a force to be reckoned with as a defensive end, but he also has that type of body where he could wind up playing a defensive tackle in college.
All right, let's go now to number 4, and that's where we find Lorenzo Carter. You've compared his body type to the freak, Javon Curse. You've also compared him to Justin Tuck. So, yeah, he's got the height for that. Where do you think he's going to go? He's got Florida, Bama, Georgia on his list.
Never rule out Georgia when it's a local guy. He's from Norcross. I really like him. The reason I compared him, I saw Justin Tuck come out of an Alabama high school weighing about 218 pounds and wound up being over 270 with the New York Giants. And he's got the same type of body, super long arms, quick hands. He can outrun some of the DBs in that very fast state of Georgia when he plays against them. And I think he could eventually wind up as a lights-out, All-American college defensive end. This guy has got 5-star potential and ability.
All right, now we go to number 3, because Tom says there's 3 guys better than that. Cantavius Street at number 3, 6'4", 260 pounds, running a 4.6. You've compared him to Daquan Bowers, and Clemson's on his list, Tom. You think that's happening, going to the Tigers?
I wouldn't rule out the Tigers. They're doing very well in not only South Carolina, but North Carolina. What I really liked about Contavious, super strong. Look at the athletic ability. He's a triple jumper, a long jumper, and a high jumper in high school. His coach insisted that this guy could play any position on the field, and I believe it. He's got a great attitude. He works hard at improving his game. He's got the body type to remain at defensive end and become a lights-out type pass rusher with tremendous closing speed.
All right, now we go to number 2, and that's where we find DeShawn Hand. He is your top defensive end. Comparing him to Mario Williams, not bad being mentioned with a former number 1 draft pick. Florida, Alabama, Michigan, his final 3. Hard to keep your hands on Hand, huh?
It sure is. I think the Wolverines might be leading for DeShawn right now. He's a good student. He's got a great personality. He's got good growth potential. I think when I saw him, he weighed about 245 pounds. Runs well, but he's very instinctive, and he's a guy that can split the double team and shows excellent closing speed just like Street does. But I think he's got a ways to go when it comes to adding weight and strength. And once he does, I think the Wolverines or Alabama will wind up with a great ball player.
All right, well, he's got personality, you said. That goes a long way on the football field. Finally, we have your number 1 defensive lineman, Andrew Brown, out of Oscar Smith High School in Virginia. Most impressively, committing to stay in-state for UVA. So, Tom, what can Brown do for the Wahoos?
You know what he can do? He can start as a freshman. This guy dominates the middle of the line. He clogs up the middle like no one's business and pushes the pile back towards the quarterback. Not only that, with his great feet and the closing speed and body control, he becomes a dominating pass rusher, and I think he had 12 sacks last season. Very good for a guy who weighs 300 pounds. He could really move his feet, and he plays the game on his feet. I like this guy a lot. The reason it's a very good year for defensive linemen, I put Andrew number 1 because of the defensive tackle that can get to the quarterback.
And 8th overall in this year's class. Not sure he's going to love the Ndamukong Suh comparison, but looks like his future is bright. All right, Tom. When we come back, one of your top 10 guys is going to be sitting down with us, DeAndre Clark, and his coach, Willis Alexander, joining us from Oklahoma City when we come back to the Lemming Report.